All right, it looks like we are live. Welcome to Instagramorama. I am so excited to be sharing this episode with you guys tonight. I can't believe first it is September already, so I hope you all had a fantastic and awesome summer and you had a great Labor Day holiday for those of you who are in the United States. Now, I put in the chat, guys, the link to this webinar. This is probably going to be one of the most important hangouts you're going to want to be on, because we're going to be talking about how you take someone who is on Instagram and they're kind of looking at your images, they're liking and you're commenting on your images. So we're going to take the process from engagement to enrollment over the next 2 weeks. So it's really important that you are on these hangouts for the next 2 weeks. But tonight, the focus is going to be from engagement to exposure. And exposure means where you're going to get this person to either A, opt into your list, or they're going to want to take a look at your opportunity. So that's what our focus is today. So I'm going to just quick check the chat. Can everyone see and hear me right now? For those of you who are brand new, welcome. Okay, we've got Tracy and Rick and Bill and Tanya. Awesome. Welcome. Thank you for coming. Make sure we can get more people on this. If you've got people on your teams, please make sure that you get them on this, because this is going to really give people a taste of success. Too often I see people, and I'm sure you guys do too, where you might be exposed to some people who are just getting involved in a home-based business, involved in network marketing, and they're pitching the dickens out of you right after, right when they meet you. People can smell a pitch a mile away. I can, and I'm sure a lot of you guys do as well. So the emphasis tonight is I'm going to be giving you this blueprint and formula. And the best thing about this training I'm going to do over the next 2 weeks is that it's not just only applicable to Instagram. This is something that you can take. This skill set that I'm going to teach you in a minute is going to take you, and you can use it not only on Instagram. You can use it on Facebook. You can use it on Twitter. You can use it on Pinterest. You can use it anywhere on social media. That's the cool part of this whole system. This is attraction marketing, guys. And if you can master this and resist the urge to pitch links, you're going to be doing very well with this. Now, one thing you want to keep in mind, and I just want to go on a little rant, if I may, is that you want to treat your opportunity links to your presentation, links to people signing up to your list, they're like, the precious jewels, all right? You don't want to put them, you don't want to just be carelessly handing them out. They're also like, you could also call them cash, if you will, too. You don't want to be throwing your cash to the wrong people. So you want to treat these links of yours like prized possessions. And so you only want to give those links out to people who you think are a good fit. And that's why it's so important that you follow these steps from engagement to exposure the right way. And if you do this the right way, you're going to see that you don't need a huge list, okay? They always say the money's in the list. It's not the quantity or the number of the list, all right? It's how responsive your list is to you. Now, we had a person, Bert Bledsoe, I'm sure some of you may know him. He is a up-and-coming internet marketing and network marketing rock star, and he really exploded on the scene, and he won an affiliate contest over the spring, and he beat out people who had massive lists, and he only had a small list, but it was a responsive list. And the way he did it was with this steps that I'm going to be teaching you today, and these steps I learned from the queen of attraction marketing herself, Diane Hockman. So I am taking what she taught me and I'm going to be teaching you guys, but we're going to be focusing on Instagram right now. So with that said, I am going to bring up my slides here. All right, Why are my slides not coming up again? Okay. Let's see. All right, there we go. So here we go. We should be seeing our slides right there. So for those of you who are brand new, we do a weekly hangout, and it's called Instagramorama, where we're learning how to use Instagram to make people fall madly in love with your images and buy your stuff. And this is a weekly hangout series, and eventually we're going to be talking about things that are going to go beyond Instagram. We might be talking about other social media outlets as well. But we've got a lot to cover with Instagram. And the purpose of these weekly hangouts is that you're going to learn how to use Instagram to really build your brand, create raving fans, and then ultimately you're going to be able to sell more stuff. Now, it's really important, usually when we do the Instagram, these hangouts, I will always have the replay up and available, so it will be on my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com, and you can do /digital-marketing-doc. That's youtube.com /digital-marketing-doc. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel. I do have a playlist specifically for Instagramorama, and it is the second playlist down from the top. So I usually try to get those replays up as soon as possible. I know I kind of fell by the wayside the last couple of weeks being a little lazy, but now that we're in September, I'm going to make sure that we get these downloaded and uploaded to my YouTube channel right away so that you guys can watch this. And make sure if your teams aren't on tonight, to make sure that they're signed up, because this is something that we always do every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 7 o'clock Central. And and that way they can always get notifications when those webinars are. And if they're not able to make it, that's fine. You can always keep reminding them. Make sure that they're subscribed to my YouTube channel so that they can see these Instagramorama recorded hangouts. Now, like I said, the topic is going to be from engagement to exposure, but first we're going to do a quick recap of last week, and I'm going to give you my Instagram tip of the day. Now, the recap of last week is we talked about content, and content is king. That it applies anywhere. It's on your blog, social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Snapchat, anywhere you go. Content is king. And so you always want to follow an 80-20 rule. And the 80-20 rule goes as such. 80% of your time needs to be on content images. Okay, we were talking about things of value. So we talked about different types of content, such as lifestyle content, where you're showing off what you're doing, things that are meaningful to you, that tell people who you are and what you stand for. And I was on a webinar with Diane Hockman today, and she was really talking about, really letting people know who you are and what you stand for. All right? I think a lot of times in marketing, we're so focused on the selling that we don't show people who we really are. We're afraid to show people who we are. So if you can put images together that say who you are, what are your passions about, that's what people are going to follow. That's what's going to make people want to, be around you. We also talked about doing tips. So if you have a specialty that you are good at, I have a friend of mine who, who he is and who he stands for. His passion is to have women have healthy hearts. Okay, he doesn't want to see women have heart attacks. He wants women to have doing more healthy choices for their body. So an example there for him would be, he could take an Instagram image and do statistics on women's health and heart disease and things women can do. He could be making, he wants to do like a cookbook for heart healthy tips. He could be taking pictures of these heart healthy dishes. That's an example of tips, of providing value to the marketplace. Product use. Now, we talked about with product use to be very careful how you're implementing with taking pictures of your product. Okay, I've seen some things going on in Instagram where they might be promoting something where you're going to see body images and things that you really shouldn't be showing a lot. So you have to be careful with doing your product, that how you're demonstrating product use, that it is done in a very tasteful way. And like we talked about, product use can be like if you're selling a milkshake, you can talk about how you're using that milkshake, coming up with different concoctions for that milkshake. And then we talked about with sales promotion. You can use Instagram for images if you want to do things like you're going to promote a training event, or you're going to promote a speaker. Maybe you're doing a webinar and you want to promote the webinar. So basically, those are the different types of content to do. And ideally, if you're part-time, you want to post a minimum of at least 5 images a day, every single day. And believe me, it's not that hard to do that with Instagram, because remember, a picture's worth 1,000 words. So if you're kind of, what I like to do during the week is I kind of plan ahead, what are some images that I'm going to want to put out on Instagram during the week, and I kind of write it down in a planner, so that when it comes time for me to create content for Instagram, I know exactly what I need to do, and I can pull out my images or take those pictures and get that out to people. And so those are the different types of, we talked about content posting. If you're full-time and you're working your home business full-time, I would say a minimum of between 5 to 10 images a day with Instagram. And I'll tell you right now, I average at least between 2 to 5 leads a day just doing a tip of the week, a tip image. And if you want to know exactly how I create my tip images, please make sure you go to my YouTube channel, to episode 6 of Instagram-orama, and I show you how to create a tip image. Now, the Instagram tip of the week. This is something that I was asked, and it was how big should your images be for Instagram? And the rule of thumb is you want to keep your Instagram images to 640 pixels by 640 pixels. And this will look better on high resolution displays. So right now, when you think of an example of that, would be like the Apple iPads that have Retina display, and I believe some of the MacBooks have that too. Don't quote me as fact with the MacBooks. I'm not that familiar with the Mac side as far as with Retina displays, only with my iPad mini is a Retina display. To get your image to a 640 pixel by 640 pixels, I forgot to type this in here, so I'm going to quick do that right now. You can use Canva, or you can use PicMonkey. And both of those are free, and so you can go there and they can resize your images, and then that way when they come up, your images will come out really fine. And so, so sometimes what I like to do is I will have my, this image you see here. I subscribe to Weekly Snaps, where I get 20 royalty-free images coming to my mailbox every week. That is a $97 fee. But compared to going to Shutterstock or iStock Photos, which can be very pricey, that's a pretty good deal. And I just received this royalty-free image in my mailbox, and so that was a pretty big picture. I think it was like 1080 by 920 pixel, and then I just went into PicMonkey and I just kind of wanted it cropped to 640 by 640, and then the design here is I created this with WordSwag, and so I usually am really digging these badges that you can do on WordSwag here. So so that's just an example of the tip of the week. So let's get right to the meat and potatoes tonight, and this is engagement to exposure. So you're going to want to make sure, guys, you have some pen and paper and take notes. And I really believe, rather than typing it out on a computer, that you really write this down. There's brain research out there that says you tend to retain information better when you're writing something down versus typing. The reason for that, and I don't want to go into too much detail, is that when you're typing something, it's usually your hands are usually going like in a cross movement. It's you only have a couple of different movements that you do, whereas when you're handwriting or printing, you're using different movement. You're using multiple movements with your hand or your wrist, and what that does is it connects with your brain as far as creating a better neural network for remembering things. So it's very important, that when you're taking down notes, to really write things down versus typing them out. And I know a difference with my brain is that I always write things out when I do my planning. I write it out on a calendar. I have an academic calendar that I use to do all my stuff for my business. And when I'm taking notes for my content, there is a marked difference. So I want to challenge you guys this week when you're doing notes to practice taking notes, writing down, and see if you retain things better. So let's start with step 1, from engagement to exposure. Now, all of this stuff I'm going to share with you tonight is 100% common sense. And I think sometimes we get so caught up in the internet marketing minutia. I know that I did, that it has to be more technical, but really it's not. It's you really have to sit back and think that the people on the other side of your computer screen, they're human beings. They're not, electronic, virtual reality icons or avatars. You're dealing with real people. And I also want to say is, if you haven't read the book How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, that's a must-have book, because I believe that I've gone back and I've looked at that book again, and it's just amazing how if you take the attention off of you, all right, you take the attention off of you and trying to make a sale, and you're putting it on another, you're putting it directly on your prospect. You're going to give them as much attention as you can, all right? And it's going to take, and I think we all expect like this instant success to happen. We want success to happen as fast as, we download something off of iTunes. And that's not the case. Success takes time. We have a learning curve that we have to go through. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to screw up. And so what we want to be able to do is, go back to these common sense principles, okay? And we just follow a tried and true method. And if we're treating people right, they are gonna at some point gonna come and they're gonna want to be with us, just for the mere reason that we make them feel good. Okay? And I want you to write the statement down. This is really important. I learned this from Lisa Grossman the other night. She did a really cool training last Wednesday night. She said, marry yourself to the process, but divorce yourself from the results. So when you're doing these particular steps from engagement to exposure, just focus on the process. Don't focus on the result in sales. Just focus everything you can on your prospects. So step 1 is we're going to capture their attention. So what you're going to do is you're going to look at your comments on your images on Instagram, and you're going to be able to tell what are bot responses. Remember what we talked about with bot responses with Instagress? That was on, I believe, episode 4 of Instagram-orama, so you're going to want to make sure to watch that particular episode where we talk about with Instagress and how to use that. And a lot of times what people will do with Instagress, where you can leave comments, is that people will often spam. They'll say things like, oh, nice pic, or check out my opportunity. If you see something that says follow for follow, or putting hashtags in the responses, you're not going to get many high quality responses. What I've started doing with Instagress is I've taken away the hashtags on the comments, and I'm just leaving questions like, you know, wow, beautiful pic, how are you doing? All right, and you will not believe that I get so many responses from people who open up to me about things and about what they're doing. And it just really is a great way for you to go in and start building connections and relationships with people. So you're going to go through your images and you're going to look for genuine comments, okay? And I'm going to teach you a technique here in just a second when you want people to get genuine comments and to get their attention. And you're going to just be creating images that invoke curiosity, and they're going to compel them to comment, all right? And I'm going to show you some examples here on the next slide. So here are 4 types of images that I like to put out on Instagram, and this is a way where you can get people to get off the bot responses. And I'm going to direct your attention up here. Okay, this is, everyone knows this is Star Trek. All right, you will not believe how many people are Trekkie fans, even those who I never would have suspected. So what I did is I created a Instagram image. And I used Instaframe, and what's really cool with Instaframe is that you can put multiple images together. And I had people make a choice. And so I put this on my Instagram profile, and I said, which captain of the Enterprise was your favorite? Or who was the better one? Was it Captain Kirk, or was it Captain Picard? And you would not believe the answers that I had on that. I also put this on my Facebook wall. My Facebook wall, that literally exploded. There were people who I never dreamed I would ever have pegged for Trekkie fans were giving me some pretty passionate answers. So it doesn't always have to be, you know, like with movie characters or TV characters like this. You could also do things. I did an image where it was, what type of pizza is your favorite? Is it Chicago pizza or is it Brooklyn pizza? Ooh, that was another big response I had from people. You know, because there are people who are passionate about their Chicago-style pizzas, and we have people who are passionate about their Brooklyn pizza. I also did one where you can do things with like nostalgia. I put up one where it was an image, and I said, name, you know, it was a picture of Carol Burnett. It was the famous scene where she was wearing the curtain rods and a spoof of Gone with the Wind. I put a thing there saying, name the actress and the sketch, and people would respond to that. So what you need to do is make sure when you're doing choices like this, you're always writing something in the caption where you're putting out, you're putting in there a choice where they're going to have to respond. And the more fun you make it, the more they're going to want to come back. And when you start getting people who repeatedly come back and like and comment your stuff, the greater the chance you're going to establish a very, very good relationship with this person. Now, another way you can do this too, I have seen people who were in multi-level marketing companies that promote travel. Some of them will go on their travel excursions, and they will put together, they won't even say, you know, that they're with a travel company or they're promoting the travel company. They'll say, I went on this trip, and on this trip, which one would you want to go to if you had, you know, if you could go on a trip? You know, or they will say, you know, we're getting ready to plan a trip, we don't know where we're going to go, and they will solicit opinions of people. All right, that's not pitching, that's just, you know, getting people to dream a little bit. So that's another creative use. Another thing you can do that will get an illicit responses is patriotism. Now I'm pointing down to here, you know, in 10 days we're going to be commemorating a very sad event in American history, commemorating 9/11. So probably, on the days leading up to and on the day, we're going to be seeing a lot of these images coming up on Instagram and on social media where people are going to remember what happened that tragic day. So you're going to see, any types, if there's any moments during the year where, you want to invoke patriotism. That's something that people really respond to. In America, we have, 4th of July. We'll see a lot of flags come up in patriotic, Memorial Day. There might be some other days that you will see that. Maybe when we have the Olympics. I know when we had the Winter Olympics, we saw a lot of patriotism come up there. You can also do inspiration, all right? When you're doing inspirational images, you want to, quote the person. And then I always make sure that I put my website to my blog up there so people know, that they can come and find me there. And what you do when you're doing inspiration is make sure you put something there that will get them to respond. So what I've been doing lately is I'll say something to the effect of, all great achievements require time. And for this particular image, I put the question to, what's one action step you're going to do today that's going to move you in the direction of your goals? You will not believe how many people will answer that question. They'll say what they're going to do. And if you get people who really write a descriptive answer to that, they are going to be prime people you're going to want to really focus on and develop and network with, develop a meaningful conversation with. You can also do things where, on the previous slide I had with Jim Rohn, I'm going to bring that back here, where I said you must either modify your dreams or magnify your skills. And I put this up on Monday, and I just said, it's September, back to school. I've got some big goals that I'm going to be working on, but I also need to develop these skills. I'm going to be working on leadership and how to manage people. What skills are you going to be working on? And I had some people give some very thoughtful responses. So the telltale sign, guys, between a bot answer and an answer that is meaningful and thoughtful is that if they're, putting it out in like a sentence, or they're being really descriptive in their answer, chances are it's not a bot, all right? And then those are people you're going to really want to focus on. Here this is kind of a lifestyle one, because last week, for some of you who weren't on, and if you watched the replay, this is my Cocker Spaniel, Zoe. And Zoe was in the room while I was doing my webinar training, and she just kept scratching my chair, wanting to be on my lap, and was being kind of really wanting to be on my lap in a big way, and she would not let me alone. She's pretty relentless. So that at the end, I brought her up and put her on. Zoe, ever since she was a puppy, she's 7 years old, she loves YouTube. She will sit and watch YouTube, especially animals, puppies, kittens. Even if I'm on a webinar, she has to sit and, she wants to know what's going on there. She thinks it's an absolute hoot. She also watches TV downstairs. So I wanted to share that. I put that up on my Instagram, and I had quite a few likes and people commenting there. So those are some examples, guys, of things you can put out on Instagram. And if you're captioning it right, where you really want people to respond to you, I mean, that's the big thing. This is how you're going to get people's attention, is that if you're putting things out that are whimsical, fun, puppies, kittens, babies, nostalgia, things that inspire people, move people, that put people in a real positive mood, all right? People are inspired by those who they know that they're going places. All right, they're going to be repelled by those that complain all the time. So once you got a person, all right, and you've seen that you're going through your Instagram images, and you're seeing comments coming up, and you're noticing people are leaving thoughtful comments, then what you're going to do is now you're going to start a conversation with those people. So you're going to find people who've left a genuine comment on your image, and you're going to first visit their Instagram profile. And you're just going to be cool. And what you're going to do is find images that you have in common with them. Okay, things that you have in common with somebody, and leave comments. But here's the thing. You never mention anything about business. Okay, you're going to make it all about them. You're going to make it all about what you see on there that, you know, strikes an interest with you, and be asking them comments. All right. One of the most important key concepts in how to win friends and influence people is the everyone's favorite topic is themselves. So if you're just asking questions and you keep asking them questions about things and you're setting up a dialogue. I had a great dialogue today with a couple of people, 3 people on Instagram, where one of them was studying to be a registered nurse. She was sharing with me she's doing a business with cosmetics, and then I just went to her wall and I noticed that she's studying to be an RN, and I used to work in healthcare, and I worked closely with the registered nurses and licensed practical nurses. So I was just asking her, where were you getting your degree? What specialty do you want to be in? And just an amazing conversation. I had another one with another lady today. We were talking about workouts, and then I went to her wall, and it turned out she loves to travel. And so we were talking about, she was telling me all about her travels to Hong Kong and Honduras and Puerto Rico. And then I had another gentleman I was talking to, and I noticed in his avatar he was holding a picture of a giant walleye. So we were talking about walleye fishing. I'm not talking anything about business, you know, because here's something that I learned from Diane too is, you know, you want to get people, you know, show such an interest in people that they don't want you to leave them. They want you to stay and, you know, keep talking to them, all right? And that's what you want to be doing here. And it's that you can, you know, you're building up these friendships and rapport that at some point, and we're going to be talking about this in step 3, to see when we're going to get ready to approach them with the business. But in the meantime, you're going to carry on these conversations, and you're going to make it all about them. That's the big thing. No talking business, no pitching links. You're just going to put it all on them. Then step 3 is that after about a couple of turns, you're going to ask permission to message them privately. Okay. And I have a picture of a house up here. And what you want to do is you can ask them to say, you know, can we talk this a little bit more about this on, you know, you can either do the Instagram direct messaging or via Facebook message. I usually do Facebook messaging because it's kind of hard to see, you know, when you're using Instagram where the direct message button is. So I always do, you know, let's talk via Facebook message. And I always ask permission first. Can I talk with you via private message? And one thing that I did this mistake big time until a couple of weeks ago when Diane was kind of teaching me this more. And it's this, you know, you want to think of a person's social media profile, whether it's Facebook or Instagram. That's like their house, all right? And going, you know, in messaging is like you're walking right into their house when they're not ready for you and you're sitting down and watching television. Okay, you know. And so what you want to do is you're asking them, you know, it's a courtesy. And I think, you know, in this day and age, people aren't very courteous anymore. And so when I have done this, there is an element of respect that comes. So, and you will be amazed when you ask that question, may I have permission that we can, you know, private message you on Facebook so we can continue the conversation. You'll be amazed at how many people will actually say yes because now they know you. You know, I don't know about you guys, but I get inundated with messages, you know, from the hello dears, or you get people who, you have no idea who they are and they're saying they want to be friends with you. But if you're doing this, the first 2 steps here, and you're generating this rapport, this is going to make this so much easier, and they're going to be more than willing to let you in the house and let them in and share more of their story with you. So then you're going to carry on the conversations for a few more turns, when you're talking privately on Facebook. But there's going to be a point, and this is something that I never realized until it was pointed out, because usually what I would do is, you do a couple turns and then boom, you go for the jugular and want to get him in on your opportunity. But there is always this pivotal moment. Okay, and you're going to, and the more you do this, the more you're going to recognize when the pivotal moments will occur. At some point in the conversation, there is going to be a pivotal moment where your prospect is either going to confess something or complain about something, all right? And that's where you're going to that's going to be your signal to talk about either introducing your opportunity, all right, or you're going to get them on your email list. And how do you determine determine what you should do first? I would say best rule of thumb, get them on your email list. And this is how you do it. You just, let's say they're talking about, you guys were talking about fishing. And they're talking about, I just love going fishing, but, I really love going in the fall, but I can't because I don't have, I have to save up my vacation time for the holidays and I can't get out. And it's like, oh, what do you do for work? And then it goes to where I started a home-based business, and oh, how's that going? Well, it's not going too good because I can't get leads. Oh, well, tell me what you're doing. And then you go in and then you say, well, I have a great newsletter that can help you, that can help give you strategies to generate leads for your business. With your permission, may I send you the link to sign up for my newsletter? Almost 9 times out of 10, they're going to say yes. Because then what that does, think of your newsletter as your online business card, okay? And then what you do is you set up, with your autoresponder and your messages, and we'll talk about that in a future episode too, when you get people from Instagram to kind of go in through your autoresponder list. How do you set that up? And what do you say? And so then when you get them on your list, then you can start introducing them to, trainings, free trainings. If you're in My Lead System Pro, there's a ton of trainings you can teach people to generate leads on. I know Elite Marketing Pro has trainings too. If you're in one of those 2 systems, they always have trainings to help people grow leads. So that's what you're going to want to do. But there might be times where, the more specific they get about leads, and they start asking you more questions about leads and what are you doing, and you're going to feel in your gut when it's right. If you want to expose them to an opportunity, then you can shoot them a link. And then you can tell them, you can say, and at that point, ask for permission, you send the link, and then maybe do a follow-up. And then you'll schedule your follow-up to see, if you're sending them to a video presentation, how soon can they watch it. And then you follow up with, with follow-up questions. And that's what we're going to talk about in the next Hangout next week. So basically, it's those 4 steps. Let's recap. First, you're going to want to capture their attention. So you're going to want to make sure that you get images out there that are going to compel them to leave a genuine comment on your Instagram images. Once you've found the genuine comments, you're going to head over to their profile page, and you're going to start looking for images and things that you will have in common, and you're going to start commenting on those images to start a conversation. You don't mention anything about business. It's all interest. You're building a common bond with somebody. You're going to be sharing things that you have in common. From there, you go to step 3, and that's after a couple of turns. You're going to want to ask permission to see if they can maybe, hey, let's follow each other on Facebook, and while we're there, could we carry this conversation via private message? And then start carrying on the conversation there. And then by step 4, you're going to have the pivotal moment where at some point in the conversation, there will be that moment where they're going to confess or complain about something, and then that's going to be the moment where you're going to come in as a consultant, not a salesman, consultant, and you're going to get them on your newsletter, or if the conversation warrants enough, you're going to show them your opportunity. All right, and then you'll want to schedule the follow-up. So for your homework, you know, you're going to want to meet 10 new people a day, and this is going to be very easy on Instagram. You should do this in take about an hour to do it, and you'll be amazed at, you know, and it might be that first night you do it, you're not going to get anybody being introduced to the opportunity. All right, those first couple of, you know, nights that you're communicating with them, you're probably going to just be talking about things that you have in common. All right, it's going to depend on how much rapport you build up with that person right away, and if they feel that connection to you. Follow the 4-step formula that I just outlined to you. So if you're meeting 10 new people a day, that's 70 people a week. And out of those 70 people a week, okay, that you're going to meet this week, you're going to want to make at least 10 exposures to your opportunity, all right? And you're going to want to schedule follow-ups with people who you made those exposures to. If you do this, chances are you will probably be enrolling at least 2 to 3, maybe 5 reps a week if you do this. It's a numbers game, all right? Next week, we're going to talk about what you do once we have them exposed. How do we follow up with them? So that's going to be the next step. So you're going to want to make sure, guys, that on your lead capture pages that you have a phone number. You capture their phone number if at all possible. All right, so I wonder what happened there to my Instagram, if that all went goofy. If it did, that's all right. I'll make sure that I have, I will have the, looks like Kirby. One thing about Cocker Spaniels, guys, is they love paper. They will eat paper. They think it's a 5th food group. But anyway, does anybody have any questions about the training tonight, about these 4 steps? We'll wait here. Sometimes there's a delay in the chat. Let me see. But this is always, you know, and like I said, we'll have the replay up, and then you can kind of look at that, and you can see. And if for some reason the slides in that don't come up, you know, I might just re-record a video and shoot it up there too, so you guys can see the slides. So, I think what I'm going to do here, did I activate the Q&A? I'll enable the Q&A here in case anybody has any questions. Okay. But when I've used this, guys, I have seen a very big uptick in lead generation for me, and I've also seen an uptick in people who, you know, where I'm getting more likes on my images, and I'm getting multiple comments on, you know, where I'll have people who, you know, I know for sure they're not bots, they're not bot answers. They will go through and they will like a ton of my images. Where do I get the quotes from? Bill said. What I do is I will do a Google search. I know that there's a quote app, but I like to do a Google search where I like, you know, if there's a particular author that I like, you know, like last month in August I read John Wooden, so I was using a lot of quotes from John Wooden. I just do a Google search, and I'll say John Wooden quotes, and it'll come up with a list of quotes for me to look at, and then I design my images. And this month I've been reading Jim Rohn, So I will be, including quotes from Jim Rohn. But that's a very good question. I know that there's an app for quotes. Oh shoot, my iPad ran out of juice and I had it downstairs. But there is a quote app, so you can use that as well. But I'm kind of a rebel. But it's up to you. You can find quotes anywhere. Just Google search it. You can Google search any type of quote. You can even do it by topic, where you could say, success quotes, and you can see. BradyQuote.com is a great resource. I'm going to write that in here. BradyQuote.com is a really good resource for quotes, and then I create. To me, I love the whole process of creating my images. It just unleashes my creative outlet. If you have the Studio app for, if you have an iPhone or you have a iPad, the Studio app is also real awesome too, because you can come up with these really cool images that you can remix, and the text, like the quotes, will stay there, and you can just put in a new picture, and then maybe change the color, the font, or the font itself, and make it uniquely your own. Okay, another one here. Any copyright issues with the quotes? That's another good question. I don't think so. The only thing that you need to do with the quotes is your quote. It's the person who quoted it. So if you're doing a direct quote, you want to make sure, like, for example, the one that I had with Jim Rohn, whenever I'm making a quote, I use the quotation marks, and then I will put the, after the, punctuation mark at the end of the quote, I say the name of the person whose quote it is. And then you should be okay. The only time you're going to have an infringement is if you say that you said that quote. So that's why whenever you're doing a quote, you have it in quotation marks, and then you have the person's name who said the quote. So as long as you have that person's name, you should be okay. Okay, Chandra says, do you suggest having any biz links in the profile? Absolutely, you do. And we talked about that in a session, I believe it was last week, where you do want to put in your link, your opportunity link in there. And if you are an advanced user, you can definitely put in a customized sales funnel in that. But if you're first starting out and you're in like My Elite System Pro or Elite Marketing Pro, you can find a link to a specialized training. Okay, it doesn't have to be, guys, if you're on Instagram, and you don't always have to say Instagram training, okay? You want to select a training that's kind of your specialty. What is a skill that you have? Maybe you're good at Facebook. So you may want to put, a training on staying out of Facebook jail. I know My Elite System Pro has a really great, it's called Social Media Nightmare. You can put that link in there. I would use a link shortener. There's like in My Elite System Pro in the back office, they have a custom link generator. And you can it's a shortened link, so you can put that in there on your profile. And Chandra, if you go through the other Instagram-orama episodes, we do talk about how to set up your profile and what you put in there. And I go into a little bit more detail with that. So basically, you want to talk about what your skills are. You want to put down, what are some things. You only have like 150 characters to write things down. So you're going to want to keep things really short and sweet. Oh, my phone just died, so I can't bring up my telephone where I can show you what my Instagram looks like. But if I'm going to go, I'm going to bring up my profile. Okay. Hopefully you guys can see my screen. Okay. So if you look here on my screen, if you see these little squares, those are emoticons. okay? And there's a specific app, I cannot remember it off the top of my head, but there is an app that you can download that will give you these, let me see if these come up on Iconosquare. Because you can see what I put on there. Let me see if I can bring up my profile. Okay, you can see here, this is what I've done. I have like some icons. So I put down to kind of brand myself being kind of cute, Dr. Instagram. April Marie Tucker is the Instagram queen, so I thought I'd be Dr. Instagram, going with my brand. And, you know, I put down like Home Biz Wiz, you know, who I am, what I stand for. I'm a teacher, social media enthusiast. And then I have my free training, and you see I have little icons pointing down. And then what this is the link, you know, I promote Instagram because that's what my specialty is. And I created, you know, with my Lead System Pro, I was able to create, there's a whole process on how to create your own custom images. You have to go in the back office, or not images, but custom URLs. And then if you clicked on that link, what it did is I created my own custom sales funnel in their back office. So you can see this is what it comes to. But if you're first starting out, you can just use the original capture page that comes with InstaBiz Builder, you know, and they have a whole capture page, and you can just use that. And I wound up getting a lot of leads there. But right now I'm doing some different testing, but I'm getting more quality leads with creating my own custom funnel. But if you're brand new, I highly advise that you don't do that. You know, start with the process of directing people to a link. Just make sure you've got the phone number in there so you can capture phone numbers. So that is your, so that's what I do there. And as you can see here, a lot of people really like the profile. I get a lot of comments from people that say, hey, great profile. You know, let me see, is there any other questions? Also in Instagram, do you suggest that you delete all tags? If so, how? I can show you really quickly, but then I have to get off here because I know some people want to get on the MLSP Hangout tonight. So I'm just going to go to, when you go to Instagram, all right, you have here, when you're going to do, you're going to want to make changes in Instagram. First thing you have to do is you have to hit the stop button, okay? And that's just going to stop. And then you come down here, and wherever you see like an X, all right, you click on that X and it deletes it, all right? So as you can see here, I took out all of the hashtags. I used to have a lot of hashtags on there, like follow for follow and follow me. That's what, and April did a training, and I was doing the training with her, and she was saying she was testing it with and without the hashtags, and she found she had a higher quality response without the hashtags. I'm seeing that as well. Also, make sure when you are using Instagram, you're checking new media only. All right, so that means you're only commenting on new images that your followers are putting up. You also want to check don't comment same users. That means you're only going to comment on one picture at a time. All right. Otherwise, you know, if you leave that unchecked and they're seeing the same, oh, nice shot, great pic, people are going to think that you're spamming them, and you can get reported. They will report you. So you don't want to do that. And then down here, I unfollow who don't follow me. All right. So I make sure that that's clicked. That way, I'm not running up so many likes. And then when I'm ready, so I've done some unfollows here. So I'm going to see what my unfollow is here. Okay, that's about good. So I'm going to hit start again, and we are back on track. Now, guys, if you are going, I don't know how many of you are going to be going to Live the Dream. if you are, that is going to be, it's going to be a real exciting event. That's with My Lead System Pro. And what happens at Live the Dream is April Marie Tucker is going to be one of the featured speakers. And she is going to be doing doing some more Instagram training. I'm gonna be going down there to Live the Dream. It'll be my first event attending Live the Dream, so I'm really pumped about that, and I'm really excited to see what she's going to be sharing, because this is going to be, you know, the most current Instagram training. And so for those of you who can't make it, what I'm going to be doing is when we get back, I'm going to be doing a hangout where I'm going to be sharing with you what April has talked about. So tonight, I don't want to overcomplicate the process. I know it's 5 minutes to 8, so I am going to shut this down. So make sure, guys, that you you know, keep an eye out for the Instagram-orama. I'll try to get that up as soon as possible tomorrow. And then have fun on the Tuesday Hangout. Have a great night, everybody, and I will see you next week. And I really want to hear, if you guys are using this 4-step format, please leave me some comments on my Facebook wall, letting me know how you're doing with that. Because then, if you are, I may want to pull you out next week, and we can kind of talk about that. So. Thanks, everybody. I know we went longer than expected, but have a good night, and we'll see you tomorrow. So take care.